Canes and Giggles podcast. Whoa, we're back with another episode. You. All right. So in today's episode, we're going to keep it a little bit shorter than some of the previous ones, and we are going to dive straight into it. And try being a very accurate word in that sentence. We are going to discuss our top 3 rules when it comes to gym training and everything in that sort of space. So to kickstart us off, Jono's going to take it away with rule number 1. Or do we go backwards? Let's go backwards, actually.
Switch.
Yeah. Well, we'll start the other way around. Yeah. We'll do number 3 first.
Yeah?
Did you want me to go first?
Good. No, it's fine. I can start it. All right. So,
He's got a bit of stage fright.
Yeah. We can talk about stage fright later, but number 3. So
number 3.
Number 3 for me is do not put people down. And this is one that you laughed when I actually brought it up because you're like, that's all you ever do. No, I put you down.
Yeah. So you're breaking your own rule number 3.
No, just with you. The reason though, or the difference between throwing shade and actually being like a dick is that, like, for example, you could be like, oh, bet you can't do that. Kind of like that egging, like how the boys do as you're growing up with the peer pressure. Or, oh, no, you just can't do that today.
Yeah. There's a big difference in context on how it's delivered.
Definitely, massively.
Received. So I've found that as well. Like, if you haven't got that relationship with someone, that saying the exact same thing to one person, saying it to a different person, just because you haven't got that relationship, it's not received the same. So it can be like, you could say the exact same words, like, oh, you haven't got it today, but one person might take that as a G up, and they're going to fire up from that, whereas the other person, because you haven't got that relationship with them, that could be a complete negative and throw them completely out. So, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Depends on the person.
This is actually a huge thing. Yeah, no, I think it does depend on the person, and I think the respect that you have for the person that is delivering the banter to you. Like, if you don't respect them, then 100% you're just going to shut them down.
Also, if it's just like that sort of, I'm not going to call it's not hate, but if it's like comes across as like negative, and that's all you're giving in that exchange and all you're giving in that relationship week in, week out, like, of course it's going to come across as you're just a dick, man. Like, whereas if you're going, oh, but you can't hit that one, and then you follow it up with, oh, like, I reckon if you could do this next time, or like give a little bit of assistance, or like G them up following the hate mail, then it's a little bit of a different situation. So,
All right, I'm gonna change the title of my rule. It's no hate mail.
No hate.
I like that.
I like
it. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's good. What's your number 3?
So my number 3, I've just gone completely blank. Is very similar to, we were talking about it in the last episode with your low-hanging fruit. It's pretty much, it's the same, but different wording. And mine is like the biggest needle mover. So whatever's going to move the needle the most for you is what you should be focusing on. And I really like this rule because it is not just for a gym setting. It can be used for if you're trying to improve your relationship, if you're trying to improve like what you're doing with work, if you're trying to improve pretty much any aspect of your life. If you focus on what's going to move the needle the most, that's going to give you the best output and the best results. So, for example, if you're looking at like CrossFit, because that's what we're talking about, if you've got a big weakness in, let's say, handstand push-ups, because that was a massive weakness of mine, if you can get substantially better at handstand push-ups and close that gap by moving the needle the most, that's going to create more of a well-rounded athlete, as opposed to just focusing on, or continuing to focus on strength or fitness or whatever. So it's like figuring out what movement or what element within your training is going to move the needle most is what you should be focusing your time on. in my opinion.
I really like that. No, I think that's good. I was actually talking to one of my friends about that. We were doing a thruster workout and we were talking about 17.5, where it was like 10 rounds, 9 thrusters, 35 double unders or something. And Marcus Philly, functional bodybuilding dude, ex Games athlete, he was speaking about how everyone's trying to get better at just doing thrusters. And he's like, the easiest thing you could do was just get more mobile so you move better through a thruster. So when people are like, oh, I need to get better at fitness, if you can just work on your positioning right or your technique, you're automatically getting better. Not because you're fitter, but you're more efficient, which will, I guess, display in better fitness as well. And so that can move the needle. And that's in the gym.
Yeah.
There's so many
Sometimes the
ways you can do
hardest
stuff outside of the gym.
Yeah, sometimes the hardest part with that component is figuring out what's going to move the needle the most. Because a lot of people wouldn't look at a thrust and be like, I need
Yeah.
to be more mobile. But in reality, exactly what you said, like being more efficient with your movement is going to increase the amount of capacity you can do within the movement. So sometimes taking a step back and looking at the whole picture is what's going to define what's going to move the needle the most, I guess. But yeah, so that's my rule number 3. Rule number 2.
I like that. My rule number 2 is the what if rule. A little bit of a background with this one. There's an athlete in Canada, Adam Davidson. He's qualified for the games. He's a beast. Has a little daughter now, super cute. So I'm probably not going to listen to this, Adam. But hey, man, I remember we competed against each other. We competed against each other in China, and by competing against each other, I mean we warmed up in the same area, and then he destroyed me out on the floor. But I was talking to him, and one of his things that helped him improve was the what if concept. And he was like, so I'll be doing a training session, and they'll come up to like a workout, maybe it's like 30 toes to bar, and instead of being like, okay, I know I can break this up into 12, 10, 8 or something like that. He's like, what if I can do it unbroken? And what if I can keep moving after that? Or what if I can sprint an assault bike, get the calories done quick? And what if I still have energy to get onto the barbell and get moving with that? Like, so the what if concept, taking the risk, not necessarily within competition. I mean, in competition, you might have to take some risk, but in training is where that's like instilled. And it's stuck with me ever since.
Because that's it. Like if you take the risk in training, the risk to reward ratio is not there anymore. Because if you stuff up in training, it's like, oh, it's in training, now I know. Whereas if you try and make that risk in a competition, it could cost you. So it's better to do it in training than it is to do it in a comp. But also,
Exactly.
I by default kind of ended up training with that methodology or that thought process when I was training at Injustice with Ryan, because he does that quite often, and I learnt heaps from doing that, and it was like a big learning curve for me, because prior to that, all I used to do was pace. No, I'm going to break it up. I'm going to do 18 and 12, and then I'm going to move forward, or I might do 20 and 10, or I always had a game plan going forward, and then Ryan would be like, just send it. Just fucking send it. I'm like, what do I do? And then, but like you learn a hell of a lot more if you use that in training. My opinion is you've got to balance it, so you can't just what if it every single time, because then you're not necessarily learning quite as much. But there's definitely, in my opinion, definitely a place in training with that that thought process.
Yeah, sure. I find that's really hard when I've done the what if basically daily, even with strength stuff. And then I come to like an online qualifier where I haven't really tapered for it. I'm just rolling into it, and I'm like, oh, we'll see what goes on. And then I'm like, well, I know I can what if this workout, but I actually have no idea how I would actually compete this workout.
Yeah.
Like not compete it. And I'm like, no, it's like I haven't done my homework, and that we can do a whole like video on that and actually preparing for comps, which would actually be quite cool. So the what if is good, but also you need to study the game, because we would actually forget that. Yeah. All right. So while you're writing that down, I'm just going to annoy you and make you multitask. What is your number 2?
My rule number 2 is no complaining. So it's a massive like pet hate of mine is like people just getting into like a negative cycle loop where come in and start complaining about something and then that's all they'll do for the rest of the session is complain. And then I think I said it to you before is it's you can't get annoyed at the person because I don't think a lot of people are self-aware enough to realize that they're doing it, so you can't like get mad at them. But I view it as really selfish if someone comes in and starts whinging about the workout or whatever it is, or the weather or fucking whatever they decide to complain about for the day, because it takes focus away from what I'm trying to do and it takes energy away from what I'm trying to focus on and what I'm at the gym for. And then I have to waste my energy trying to convince them to stop complaining about the thing that they came to the gym to fucking do. It's like no one's forcing you to come to the gym and train and lift heavy. You're choosing to do that. So in my opinion, you don't get both. You don't get to come in and do the thing that you're choosing to do and then complain about it. I'm like, you get one or the other.
Yeah.
And don't complain. So you only
It's
get
pretty,
one.
it's pretty cutthroat when people come in and they're like, "Oh, I'm whinging about this." I'm like, "You chose to do this." And they're like, "Oh no, did I?" I'm like, "You did choose. Somewhat you chose." And so it's pretty brutal because when I'm in that other situation, I'm like, "Oh damn, I did choose to do this." Oh,
Yeah. I do it as well. Like I'll catch myself complaining about something, but then I'll try and realize it soon and then correct it. But it like, I can't remember what I was going to say. I was going to say something. It's gone. But yeah, it's like I'll still
did
catch
you
myself
literally
doing it all
just
the
lose
time.
your train of thought?
Yeah. Yep. It's gone.
Wow. That's
No, I
like,
had something that I was going
wow,
to
okay.
say, but I can't. It's gone. Yep. Just like that. Poof.
I
But
mean,
yeah.
if we went
So
on a podcast right now, I would sit here in silence.
I'd try and remember. What the fuck was I going to say? But yeah, rule number 2: no complaining, because nothing good comes from complaining, and there's a big difference between because people will turn around and be like, "Oh, I'm just stating a fact," and I'm like, "Okay, well, what are you trying to get? What are you trying to achieve from stating that fact? Because nothing positive comes out of it." So even just by
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, it's really cold today," I'm like, "Cool, and what? What next? Like, do you want me to? We don't have a heater here. I can't go turn the heater on for you. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing comes from that statement. So just don't bring light to it.
Well, no, that something does come from that statement, but it's not a positive thing. It's not there to build
Yeah,
people
yeah.
up. And
Sorry,
so
nothing positive
people got
comes
to
from that statement.
recognize that, yeah, and I'm not trying to like
Yeah,
nitpick what you're saying, but it's very true that you could say one thing and it could just destroy or zap all the energy and the vibes out of the situation before the workout or before training or even before the warm up. And that's some people are struggling to get to the gym. And
yeah.
so if you're going to make it even harder by ruining that mindset, it's like
Or you're
you're
kind of
just
making
bringing
it a
them down even
chore.
further.
You're making it a chore by
Yeah.
going to the gym, and then you've got to deal with fucking mopey old Pete in the corner that won't stop whinging about heavy. Yeah, no shit, Pete. That's how you get stronger. You do heavy shit.
Every day, every
Yeah.
damn day.
But it's funny because we're
Ugh.
complaining right now about people complaining. We're breaking rule number 2.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Stoic.
Hey, I
Ugh.
try.
All right,
All right. Rule number 1.
cool.
Drum roll.
Rule number one is, we should actually get sound effects next time. All right,
Yeah, they
write
didn't
that
work
down.
last time.
But oh, yeah. Well, they can work.
Oh, well.
So my rule number one is to look for at least one way that you can improve each day, and that's very stoic or boring or cliche. And to be more specific for me, I am probably more conscious about it when I'm in the gym because being in the gym is very tangible. Like you're picking up weights, you're moving your body weight, you're tracking your heart rate, your breath rate, your exertion rate, and everything like that. And so
It's easier to monitor.
choose something that's tangible. Yeah, something that's tangible within your control to improve each day. For this conversation, we're talking about the gym. I would choose something that would be like, okay, I can get better in this workout by going unbroken on the thrusters because it's something I always need to stay on top of. And that's going to be my focus. And that's what I'll work on.
You
Unbroken
going
thrusters
unbroken
is
on
the 9
thrusters?
reps.
Yeah. At
Yeah,
42
it's
kilos.
about as likely
just-
as you going unbroken on toaster bar.
Yeah, hey, I can do 9 toes to bar.
Ooh, I don't know if you can right now.
But to add on
Yeah.
that, I find that the boring, stoic, like monotonous kind of things, if you stick with them and if you're consistent with them, that's what's going to like move the needle the most for you. Like if you consistently work on trying to increase something by 1% every single day that you're in there, and it might not even be the same thing. From what I'm gathering, that's kind of what you're saying. Like it might be focusing on how well hydrated you are one day and how well recovered you are from the food that you eat on the next day, and then you'll hold that standard for the rest of the week, and then you'll improve on something else. So if you're constantly improving by 1% in this boring, stoic, monotonous kind of task that you're trying to do, at the end of the year you're going to be 365% better across the board, because there's 365 days in a year. Boom. Maths. Quick maths. Quick maths.
What about a leap year? What about a leap year?
We're not talking about leap years. We talk about the rule, not the exceptions.
Oh.
But yeah, I like it. But it's
so
the
exciting.
it's the boring things that pay big checks at the end of it.
Yep.
My
And the big checks
rule
are fun. I mean, one day we'll see.
yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. All right, your rule number 1. Let's go.
My
Let's
rule
hear
number
it.
1 is consistency. So I touched on it very quickly on what you were saying just before, but it is like if you're not consistent with whatever it is you're trying to achieve, then you can't expect results. If you go, I want to get stronger at my front squat because my front rack's really bad and I'm working on my mobility in my front squats. If you do that once every fortnight, you go, I'm going to do some mobility and then I'm going to do some strength front squats. If you do that once a fortnight, you're not going to get any better at it. Whereas if you're working on something in that like if you do 2 sessions a week, I'm going to do a strength front squat piece at the start of the week and I'm going to follow it up with a mobility session after. Of course, you're going to get a bit stronger than if you're just doing it once a fortnight. Like it's the consistency that pays the big checks at the end of the day. So I feel like that's one piece of the puzzle. You've got to be focusing on the right things. Like you can be consistently focusing on the wrong things or not putting enough energy into it, but it is definitely an extremely valuable piece of the puzzle. So you have to be consistent.
Yep.
But that's where having a good coach
Couldn't
can
agree
kind
more.
of
I actually
pay off and help you find what the thing is that you need to be consistent with, I guess.
I 100% thought you were going to do a plug right then. I was like, oh, he's bringing up the coach. Nice, lovely. That is actually a very good point, though. Having a coach does help massively because your coach can be like, I'm so sorry for those that are watching. That's my 5-year-old just putting a noodle into the camera. A pool noodle, just so we got this clear. But having a coach can teach you when to be consistent because the coach has control around the programming anyway. And also just going back with the consistency, Denzel Washington, I think it's him that says the saying of without consistency, you'll never finish. And it's true because it's fun when it's fun being like during the journey and everything and also getting the rewards at the end. But the consistency gets you those big rewards at the end, like the things you've grinded away for so long for.
Consistently.
And it's such a huge player in the game. Shut up.
But
Yeah.
3 rules.
Look at this.
3 gym rules.
3 rules.
Done and dusted. Look at us go.
Nice.
It's only been 20 minutes.
And you know what? Yeah, they can be rules for life.
They very much can be.
Are we life coaches right now?
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. Not good life coaches. But I would
Yeah, well,
I would say I would say that that's one thing that I've definitely taken away from CrossFit over the years is that so much of the things that you learn within the gym walls can be applied outside the gym walls as well into different aspects of life. I guess that's why I'm still doing CrossFit because I love it so much
yeah, because
and
you
I
haven't
learn
figured out
things.
life yet.
Still learning.
Learning and applying is completely different, though.
True. True. True.
Ooh.
True.
No.
All
Cool.
right. On that note,
Oh no, that was good. Thanks heaps.
that was good.
Thanks heaps for listening, guys.
We're gonna leave it there,
Legends.
and we will see you next time. Peace.
Peace.